it's been 4 years. And he's still learning. You never stop. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get started. We might still have some stragglers, but we'll just get it knocked out. So one thing I want to start with, guys, I talk about this all the time, but I wanted to hit on it again this morning. It's really top of my mind right now is our mindset and how important that is to our business, especially for you newer agents. You're probably transitioning from a corporate job or some W-2 employment to now 1099 employment. And that's scary, right? It's scary. There's a lot of uncertainties. And the only way that you guys are going to be able to make this whole thing work is by having the right mindset. So the one thing in the world that we can control for sure is our thoughts, right? So make sure that you guys are out there hanging around the right people, listening to the right things, putting your mind in the right state to where you can have productive, confident, positive thoughts and the same perspective when you're looking at things in the business. It's a tough business. You know, she said, Molly said she finally closed a deal that started in September. So it's probably a rough deal. You know, if that is the perspective, it's probably a rough deal. And sometimes those happen. But it's important to make sure that we're having a good perspective when we're looking at stuff like that, you know, and sometimes it's really hard to do it, but it is absolutely critical to our success that we do that. 55 days, down payment assistance. Yeah. And you've been in for 5 months. So congrats. Already getting trial by fire. So guys, the class today is about open houses. So open houses for new agents is probably my favorite lead generation source for a few reasons. One, it's really cheap, right? I mean, I could say it's free. It was free for me when I started. If you could borrow signs from somebody, then you could just do it for free and just energy and time. But as you start to get further along in the business, it does cost a little bit of money, but it's probably one of the cheapest ways that you can go out there and create business. Also, it tends to be now business, meaning that the people who come into your open house are people who are actually looking to buy a home. And what a lot of people don't realize or consider is that a lot of times the people that are looking to buy a home also have a home to sell, right? So by doing open houses, you're putting yourself in front of people that are actively thinking about making some sort of a move in real estate. And then you never know. It could be neighbors. It could be somebody who saw your signs. It could be somebody who saw an advertisement, saw it from the MLS or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and bring up our slideshow and start that, and we'll just jump right into this thing. So if you got paper, guys, take notes. Feel free to take screenshots, whatever y'all need to do so that you can retain as much of this information as possible. So what we're going to talk about today is going to be the perfect open house, right? And perfect's maybe kind of a funny word to use because can anything ever be perfect? It can be as perfect as it can be, right? So we'll walk through what a perfect open house would look like if you hit a bullseye on all of the ingredients that make up a perfect open house. So by doing an open house a certain way, you're going to get more exposure. You're going to have more sign-ins, and that's key, right? We talk about activities and what's the purpose of activities. Purpose of activities is to generate leads. Well, if you're at an open house and you're not getting sign-ins, you're definitely not generating leads. So this strategy is going to help you get more sign-ins, which is going to get you more leads, which is going to end up in more opportunities for you, right? So opportunities meaning more clients, right? More ways that you can even convert a lead to a client through a buyer consultation or whatever means comes up, but it's just more opportunity for you to get out there, meet more people, get more clients, close more transactions. So feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box. There is a Q&A box down there somewhere, and you can post questions as they come up in there so you don't forget them. I won't be able to pause during, even if I see hand raised, like we've tried that before and I just don't see them. So if you have questions, post them in the Q&A down there, and I will definitely get to all of those questions at the end, and we'll go deep into whatever you guys need to go deep into. So what will you guys learn from today's session? So one, you're going to learn how to generate leads, right? By learning the most effective way to perform open houses. As new agents, and even some of us more experienced agents, that's always top of mind, right? Is I need more leads. I get that a lot, even from agents on the team, is like, hey, We want more leads. Internet leads aren't the best. It takes a lot to get a sale from those. So how do we go out there and generate more leads? So we're talking about that, how to turn those leads into buyer and seller clients. Like that's a process, because once you get the lead, you have a lead, right? But what do you do now? How do you convert that lead into a buyer or seller and make them your client? So there is a myth about open houses out there, and depending on who you talk to, you may hear more than one, but the one that I hear the most, it's the biggest myth, is that open houses only generate buyer leads, which is not true. A lot of the buyers that come into your house, your open house, are probably sellers as well, or they may be neighbors, the nosy neighbor. We listed a home a few years ago back in, it was in a resort community out here in Fort Worth by the lake, and we held an open house, a big open house. We did everything I'm going to show you guys today, and the neighbor across the street was actually a realtor. He wasn't practicing at all, but he had his real estate license. He came to the open house and was completely floored by what we did. Now, the house that we had listed was in a cul-de-sac. It was almost an $800,000 house, and his house was right across the street. Well, a year later, he called us and had us sell his house based off of what he saw us do at that open house. And his house was about $600,000. So between the two houses, it was like $1.3 million in transactions. And the second half of that $1.3 million really came from our efforts at this open house. So these things do work. What I'm going to show you guys today definitely works if you do it right. So a little bit about me. I am Jeremy, obviously. I've been in real estate for 4 years. I had started part-time. I was working for BNSF Railroad. I was in a managerial position. I was working 12-hour shifts, and I got my license in 2015. And I just kind of focused on building my systems and processes, right? I focused on education. How do I do this? And wasn't really implementing anything. And then in 2016 or into 2015, I had been doing some training with an amazing coach out there. His name is Joshua Smith. If you haven't heard of him, look him up. Did some coaching with him and met a bunch of people through his program, and really started implementing towards the end of 2015 what I was going to do in my business. And in my first year as a part-time agent with a full-time job, I still closed 41 transactions that year. I gave myself a 5-year goal to have 1.5 times my salary at the railroad. And I actually did that in about 11 months. And I was actually able to resign in 2016, which is 4 years shy of my original goal, and do real estate full time. So in 2017, without having a job, that year I closed 78 transactions. I was with Remax at the time. I got their, I think it's a Chairman's Award, which is awarded to anybody who grosses over $500,000 in GCI. Our brokerage had 3 offices. I was the only agent in those 3 offices to get that award. 2018 moved over to EXP. Every year since then, I've earned the Icon Award with EXP. I'm an investor, so I do flips, I do buy and holds, rentals, and I invest in stocks. So that is about me, and I want to tell you guys some important notes to know about creating success. So effort does not pay the rent. Now, we can really find ourselves busy with things, right? We can find ourselves busy with going to training and busy doing this and busy doing that. And we're doing enough, whether it's real estate or any other endeavor in our life, we're doing enough to feel busy, right? We're doing enough to really just be able to say we're doing something, we're trying, right? I hear that all the time, I'm trying. Okay, we're doing enough to say that we're trying, but we're really not doing enough to succeed. And a lot of times we underestimate the amount of activity that's going to take to succeed. So it is important to know that 90% of all realtors fail in the business. That's 9 out of 10 in the first 3 years will turn in their license, not renew it, go back to whatever they were doing before or do something different, right? They decide to get out of the business for one reason or another, and most times it's because they're not having the success that they need to continue to maintain a business in real estate. So it's not because they're lazy, it's just because they don't have the proper training. They don't know what to do. They go to a brokerage, they say, hey, here's your email address, and here's your website, and here's where your mailbox is in the office, and here's where we do our trainings, and good luck. Let us know if you need anything. So because of that, it really has a very high turnover rate. in the industry. And I think there's something we can do about that. You know, I think there's things that can be done to fix that. There's a lot of good people that I've seen that have gone back to previous jobs because they did not know how to succeed here. I was actually one of them. In early 2000s, I got my license in California, and I was one of those. You know, I failed in the business when the market crashed because I didn't know how to adapt. I didn't know how to run a business. But that's what makes my business so successful now, is going off of those failure experiences that I had in the past. And with our businesses, we have to think of it like baking a cake, right? Baking a cake, you don't just throw everything into the oven together and voila, you have a cake in an hour. No, you have certain steps. You have certain ingredients. You have certain steps. You've got to whisk the batter. The more you do it, the better it tastes. You got to put some special ingredients in there. Butter? Is it oil? I've even done mayonnaise, which is really good. But there's different steps. There's different ingredients to baking a cake. And the better skilled you get at that, and the more accurately you follow the directions, the better that cake turns out. Same thing in our real estate business. The better we follow the steps that are already done, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's people that have gone before you that have created successful businesses. So if you get aligned with those people, you listen to what they tell you, and you go out there and implement what they tell you, do exactly as they did, you're going to have success, right? You don't have to create all these things on your own. And that is exactly what I did. When I found Joshua Smith and I went through his program, I learned a ton from him that I didn't previously know, and I didn't ask questions, right? You've got to be coachable. I did what he said. If I knew it was going to work or didn't know it was going to work, it didn't really matter. I saw him doing it, and I knew that it was working for him and his team. And I think his team does like 600 or 700 transactions a year. So I saw that was going on over there. That's obviously success. That's where I want to be. So I modeled my business after his business. And we're doing about 19 to 20. I do about 19 to 20 million dollars a year on my own. So just follow the directions, right? Follow the instructions on the box and you'll be fine. So success is obtained only by understanding how the real estate business works, right? That is really the secret sauce. A lot of people don't understand it. They think that it's just go out and get leads, right? Go out and get leads and then get lucky, and maybe some friends and family will use you, and maybe you'll get some referrals. But how do you create something that's sustainable, something that is predictable, something that you can continue to do month after month, year after year, and is successful and is profitable? Well, to do that, you got to understand how the whole thing works, right? If you can understand how it works, then you can understand how to operate within it. So this is our real estate sales funnel, and it goes from top to bottom. The number one thing are activities, right? And we're going to talk about one of those today, being open houses. So any activity we do, whether it's open house, door knocking, calling on the phone, sending out mailers, whatever activity you're doing, should have the desired result of generating leads, right? So what is a lead? A lead is somebody who you put in your database, meaning you have their first name, last name, email address, phone number, some combination of those that you can now follow up and stay in contact with those people. Those are leads. Your friends on Facebook, those are actually leads, right? You have, Facebook is the biggest database out there, right? It's a free database. You get on it, you have tons of friends on there. As long as you follow up with them, get them to know you, like you, trust you, they're going to do business with you. But the numbers show that only 5% of your database will ever do business with you. So the trick is to building up the biggest database that you can possibly do. Stay in front of those people, and then you'll have a lot of business. It's really that simple. So once you get a lead, then you need to make appointments. Once you get an appointment, you need to conduct those appointments. Not all appointments you set will be conducted. There's going to be people that ghost you. There's going to be people that cancel, or whatever. You might have to cancel. Who knows? But the fact is that not all appointments that you make will be conducted. So conducting appointments is another measure. And then from those appointments, that's when you get clients. If you have somebody in your system, somebody you're showing homes to, or somebody you met at open house, or you got them on a search, it doesn't mean they're your client. They're still a lead until you have an agreement to represent them. Now there is some laws out there that say, hey, you can create agency by talking about real estate, by going out there and performing activities. I don't really like to be in that gray area. So what we do is we sign buy rep agreements, listing agreements, right? Those are our measures for creating clients. And then every time you get a client, that client is going to most likely lead to a closing. So understanding all of that and how that works, you understand the ingredients, right? So the ingredients are activities, leads, appointments made, appointments conducted, clients, and then your outcome is a nice closing. So with open houses, we're going to really start to get into the specifics of the open house now, that we've gone through just some fundamentals. So there's four main steps, right, to make the open house successful. So one, you need to identify the right property. And I have a feeling one of my slides got reversed here. So one, you need to identify the right property, right? And we're going to talk about what makes a property the right property. You're going to need to market the open house effectively before the event. Make people aware of it. If the open house, if you're holding an open house, this has happened recently. You're holding an open house for another agent and they don't put the open house on the MLS until the day before the open house. You haven't had a lot of time for people to see that, right? Because once you put it in the MLS, at least with our MLS, it goes out to Realtor, Trulia, Zillow, all those major sites, and people are seeing that, and they're gonna show up to the open house because they've seen it on those sites. Especially if they're not working with the realtor, and those are the people that you want in the open house. So you want to make sure that you market it effectively prior to the event. And there's several other ways. So we'll talk about them all. You want to set up and conduct your open house properly, and then you want to follow up with any leads that you get from your open house. Hitting a bullseye on all four of those is really going to create a lot of success for you guys. You're gonna really have a good time doing it because of the successes that you have, and it's really going to turn your business around or get your business started off on a good note. So it is important to note that if you miss any of the steps, you will not have the success that you're after. You may have some, right? If you miss some of these, you may have some success, because if 3 out of 4 are still good, but it is critical that you hit all 4 if you can. They're all important ingredients into your open house cake. So I love this quote. It says, "The only shortcut in life is learning how to do it right from the beginning." And that is something that I've always believed in. When I started in this business for the second time in 2015, I knew that that was important. So I took a lot of time learning how to do everything right from the beginning, and then implemented those things into my business. And you should do the same thing. So I know when we get our license, it's like go, 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 right? Now we need to go out there and we need to get business. And most of the things you learn in the class are not going to apply to what you learn as you're actually out there conducting real estate transactions. But I would encourage you to slow it down, learn all of the things that you can learn about how to operate the business before you go out there and get clients. It's going to make your experience and your client's experience much, much better. So let's go to step 1. So step 1 is how to identify the right property. So think of an open house as your storefront. Right. A lot of us, some of us have physical offices. Some of us don't have physical offices. I don't think walk-in traffic is that popular anymore, although it does happen sometimes. But as real estate agents, we don't really have a storefront. But if you think of a storefront, these stores are doing things outside of their store to attract people to come in. They've got signage. They've got products outside. They've got flags for new construction, or whatever it is attractive, right? It's catching people's attention, and they're curious about what's inside, or they need what's inside, and then they come in and check it out. So if you think of an open house as your storefront, when you're setting up, what do you want your storefront to look like? Because your storefront ultimately represents you, right? When people are using you to buy or sell a home, they're not really attaching to the brokerage, right? We know that they're clients of the brokerage, but they're trusting you. Right? They're trusting you. They're hiring you. Anything and everything you do is a reflection, not just on you, but on your brokerage, but mainly you, right? Most of those times, if somebody has a bad experience with an agent, they may attach it to the brokerage. Hey, this agent at such and such brokerage was horrible. But really what they're attaching it to is the agent himself or herself, right? So make sure that whatever you're doing is a great representation of you. And when you set up your storefront, it's got to be good. It's got to be a wow factor. What we've started doing at ours, one of the things we've started doing at ours is we put out a red carpet. It's just small things. We do a lot of things. I'll show you all the things we do. But one of the things that's not on here that we do now is we put a red carpet. We sweep it. It looks clean. I mean, it's just good to go, right? And people love it when they come to the door. So you want to pick out the perfect storefront. Some things you should consider are upgrades, busy intersections, a specific area where you want to do business is a good area to start doing open houses. So let's talk about the ideal open house location. So the ideal open house location will have the following things. It'll be within a half a mile of a store or a shopping center. The reason why that's important is because of traffic, right? You want people to see your signs. If you're located in the country, that may be difficult, or more rural area, that may be difficult for you. But it works best when you're somewhere that you can place signs where people are going to and from a store, right? You want to be close to new construction. I love doing open houses near new construction because a lot of people are going to those homes, going to the model homes, and they're taking a look at them and they're curious about what's going on there. If they see your open house and it's in the same neighborhood or close to where those model homes are, the chances are they're probably going to come by your open house, and most of them do not have agents. I don't even know how many times I've been doing open houses close to new construction and ended up with a buyer that went and bought new construction, and I represented them on that purchase just because I met them at the open house. It's super, super powerful. So you don't want to have a lot of turns if possible. I've really found out through trial and error that when somebody has to really navigate really, really deep into a neighborhood, it really deters them, right? And then you have to put a lot of signs too, to make that make sense, right? So you're putting signs at every turn. So try to have no more than 3 turns from the main road. If you could do that, it's easily accessible, and that's really, really in your best interest and theirs. So all of that being said, not every house is the best house to do an open house, right? So as a newer agent, if somebody's asking you, hey, can you hold the open house for me? Or you volunteer to hold an open house, and someone says, yeah, I got one for you, you can do it here. Take a look at it, look at the location, see where it's at. It's great to get experience. So you may just take everyone at the moment, and that's totally cool. But really, if you have choices, find one with this criteria. Your experience is going to be a lot better, and you'll have a lot more people show up to the open house. So what if you don't have a listing, right? This is a question I get a lot from newer agents is, what if I don't have a listing to do an open house? Well, there's several different things that you can do. The first one I have on here is for sale by owners. That's actually how I got my very first listing in Texas, was a for sale by owner that I did an open house for. She ended up becoming a very good client. I've done about 6 transactions with her, her family, and her referrals. And she was actually my first listing client in Texas. She was a for sale by owner. What I did with that is I called her up. I offered to hold the open house for her. Told her it's free. There's no catch. There's no gimmicks. I mean, I'm going to do this open house for you for free. I'm going to advertise it for you. You will be there with me. Anybody that comes in and wants to buy your home, they're your client. You can work with them directly. But the people that don't want to buy your home, if I can get them to sign in, I might be able to convert them as clients. So I was just 100% real with her. She said, yeah, that works. We did the open house together. She actually negotiated, it was like a $125,000 house. She negotiated $15,000 off the cost of the house in front of me. And I told her, hey, look, my 6% commission is only 12 grand. You just gave away 15. She's like, yeah, you're right. Let's sign the paperwork. So it's a good opportunity, right? It's a good opportunity. For sale by owners are a great opportunity for you to not only get buyers, but also develop a relationship with that seller and possibly get the listing. So expire listings, excuse me, that's another good one too. If you guys have access to the data for expire listings, you can call them up and say, hey, Mr. Seller, Miss Seller, I know you guys had your house listed. It didn't sell for whatever reason. I'm not calling you to convince you to list with me. But if we had a buyer, would you still be interested in selling your home? If that answer is, yeah, we still need to sell it. Okay, great. Now, I don't have a buyer, but what I would like to do is this, and present the open house idea to them. And sometimes they bite on that. So that's another resource. Cancel listings, exact same thing. I love these 3 people because they have all shown that they have a desire to sell a property. Now, for some reason, it didn't sell. There's a problem. It's either the pricing, it's the promotion, it's the presentation, the condition of the home, something, right? So if you can go in there and identify that, start building relationships with them, not only can you hold the open house if they agree to it, but now you may be able to get that listing later on down the road when they are ready to put the house back on the market. So here's a couple of resources that I use to get the data. There's a bunch out there. So I use Vulcan 7. There is also Mojo. There is RedX. There's Cole Realty Resource. I think Cole Realty is like $120 a month, but you can have lenders and title companies help you out with those costs as well. So I can help you guys if you have questions on that, on how to do it. So that's where you would get the data for those expired and canceled. For sell by owners, I usually just use Zillow. I think the other services do provide the for sale by owner information as well, but I try to stick with Zillow and then other realtor listings. So check your brokerage policies, but we do that all the time. If agents want to hold open houses on our listings and our agents on our team are like, hey, we're not holding open house, or we have more listings than agents, then we will definitely allow other agents to hold open houses. Most don't know the criteria, right? So we can have a house in a horrible location for an open house and agents will still hold it because they just don't know any better. I mean, we have some communities over here that are really bad for open houses. Great houses, great communities, just open houses are tough there because of where they're at. So be mindful of that. So those are some options for sale by owners, expired, canceled, and other realtors listings. So step number 2. So this is marketing your property leading up to the event. So obviously this this picture here was quite a while ago. It was when I was still with Remax. But the picture, this picture actually was is a picture I posted on social media. So I was bringing out all my signs, getting ready to go put them in that vehicle right there in the trunk. And I laid them all out and I was like, hey, let me take a picture. So I took a picture, posted that picture on social media, got a ton of engagement for it. So what I learned was that I was now pre-marketing this open house. This was the day of, but we start way before that. So if you do it correctly, you can generate leads even before you do the open house. Social media is amazing. If you guys are posting on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever platform you're on, you should be getting leads by doing these open houses. And I'm not saying you're going to get a lead every time you post, but it's all in volume, right? The more you do it, the more people see you and see you continuously doing it, the better your results are going to be. So here's how we use social media. So 3 days before the event, I like to run open house Facebook ads that target my area and my farm area, or the area where we're holding the open house and the farm area. Facebook has really changed their rules. So now you have to do like a 15-mile minimum radius, which is okay. You know, it's okay if you understand that these ads are not for you to get leads from. You might get them every now and then. These are branding ads. These are awareness ads. This is for people to see you in their newsfeed doing things that are related to real estate. And you know, in the business, and we've talked about this in the previous webinars, is that when somebody thinks about doing a real estate transaction, most commonly 2 people pop up in their mind. So if you're not one of those 2 people, the chances are you're not going to get the business. So the goal is to become one of 2 people that they think of when it's time to sell real estate. How do you do that? Well, there's a lot of ways, but branding is a good one. So these ads before your open house are really just for branding. We spend about $25 per ad and just post it out there for everybody to see. Not ran as a boost post. Run the ad for lead generation through your Facebook ads manager. So if you don't know how to do that, guys, there's a ton of resources out there. You can probably YouTube it. Hit me up, and I've got some folks that actually train people on how to do this. That's how I learned how to do it. But it can be confusing. I mean, Facebook is constantly changing their stuff, and you need to have a CRM. If you're going to do it for lead generation, you need to have a CRM, because Facebook has a thing called lead forms, and you can get people to fill out the form, and it's really automatic, right? It gets first name, last name, email address, and phone number, which is all you need, and that'll go right into your CRM. So if you don't have a CRM, we can figure out another way. Just let me know. I can help you figure it out on how to best get those leads from there. And then targeting. So you want to input the property address, then run a 15-mile radius around the house, because that is Facebook's minimum radius that you can use. We used to be able to do like 1 mile or even specific neighborhoods, but they've said that is discriminatory. So they have taken that out. And then here's a sample of the last ad that we ran. It says, come check it out. Not the last ad, one of the ads that we've ran. Come check it out. 9201 Sante House Drive. It's got the zip code. 5 bedroom, 3.5 bath, 4,000 square feet of amazing game room, media room, open floor plan, corner lot. You know, just some bullet points. Covered patio, much more. We put our hashtags on there, and then a picture collage. I don't know what works better. We've tested a bunch of them. I don't know if it's going to be the front of the house or a collage like this. I like the collage because it kind of gives more info. Some people prefer just a picture, one picture of the house. I think they both work, but I would say play around with it. If this is something that you're going to do, play around with it, split test it, and see what works best in your area. So also flyers. So we use flyers pretty heavily. And the flyer on the right side, this blue and gray flyer, this is the house that we did that open house I was telling you about earlier, where the neighbor across the street ended up listing with us a year later. And I'm going to tell you how we got these flyers out. So flyer the closest 500 neighbors and do it through door knocking. So if you don't want a door knock, you can always call. Again, use Cold Directory for data and Mojo Dollar to make calls. So and here's another example too that I got from my coach Josh on an open house flyer that is a little bit more basic. You know, it doesn't have a picture, it's not as fancy, but it still works, right? And they got on here free home evaluation within seconds. They've got a website address on there to search for homes and to go get the website, and then that agent's contact information at the bottom left. So what we did with this particular flyer, I got data from Coal Resource. A lot of the data had email addresses. So, and this was a while ago, so I don't know if this is legal now or recommended. So research it before you do it. So what we did was we got the email addresses through public data, and we emailed this flyer out to everybody we could find, everybody whose neighbor or whose information we could get in this particular resort community, and is gated. Then we did go ahead and knock the neighbors, handing out this flyer that we had printed out on cardstock. It was really nice. Went there, met a bunch of people, invited them to the open house. And then we have a certain script that we like to use. And this script can apply to any situation, but for open houses, what we do is say we got the flyer in our hand, all go to the door, and you can see this is 2018, so it's a couple years ago. We can go to the door and be like, hey, look, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. I don't say, hey, look, but knock on the door, they answer, and I'll be like, hey, good afternoon, sir, ma'am. My name is Jeremy. I'm here to just hand you a flyer, invite you to the open house we're having this weekend for your neighbor down the street. I just want to give you a heads up. We do a lot of advertising, so there's a possibility that we may see a lot of cars that day. Don't want you to be alarmed. Nothing crazy is going on. Just our open house. We're going to really market it. We hope to have a big turnout. We want you to know that you're invited. We would love to get your feedback and know what you think of the home. And like, okay, yeah, cool, great. Thank you for telling me. Yeah, maybe we'll stop by if we can. Or maybe it's no. Okay, great. Well, thank you for your time. Before I go, just wanted to let you know that we do send out a monthly market update email once a month. We're not going to ever spam you or anything like that. We send it out once a month. It's very helpful for the people in the neighborhood for a few reasons. One, it helps them keep up to date on their property value, and sometimes it's helped them protest their taxes. So we would like to go ahead and just put you guys on that list. There is an unsubscribe button if you ever get tired of the email. What's the best email address for you? And a lot of times it just comes out. They're not expecting that. They don't really have an objection for that. And they just say, okay, here's my email address. Give it to us. We write it down, throw them in the database, and continue to send them that monthly market update email. Stay in touch with them. So it was like a double, it's two birds with one stone, right? We're going there, we're advertising the open house. And as we talk to people, we're using it as a lead generation activity, and we're taking their information, we're putting it in our database, and hopefully they do show up to the open house. And it's important to know, guys, that I think only 1% of homes actually sell through an open house. So as a realtor holding an open house, the likelihood that you're actually going to sell that house that day is very, very low. So and understanding that is important, because now you understand why you're there, right? You're not there to sell that house. You're there to connect with people who come to the open house so that you can create leads, right? So imagine the power in this. So I've identified an area, right? I'm going to focus on that particular area. And every weekend I'm going to do an open house. So say you have a farm area. I know Jeff just chose a farm area. So Jeff, let's say you got your farm area. And you want to get well known in this neighborhood, be #1 agent that's doing all the sales in the neighborhood. You got all the market share, and people think of you first when it's time to buy or sell. So that's your goal. So imagine if every single weekend the neighbors in that community see a flyer from you, whether it's in their email, on their doorstep, you hand it to them, whatever. They're getting open house flyers from you. They're seeing on their newsfeed Facebook ads that are from you about that particular open house. Every week they're seeing this. They start to recognize your open house signs. You do a lot of signage. You put signs everywhere. They see them. They start recognizing your brand, your logo, your name. You're now becoming a household name when it comes to real estate. They see your Facebook posts. So if you're friends with people in that area, I do recommend friending everybody if you can. Or if you're going into the group pages, like we have specific group pages that are for certain communities. So I'll go into those communities and post every Monday. I post in my farm area. Every Monday I'm posting a market update. We're posting just solds, just listed, coming soons, open houses, all of that. So if they're seeing all of those things and they're getting phone calls or door knock invites directly from you and they're meeting you in person or on the phone, now take all of that and put it together. Right now, these people just cannot go anywhere without seeing you. Right? You are now demanding their attention. You're capturing their eyes. You're in their mind when it comes to real estate. You are the real estate expert because obviously everybody does business with you because they see you everywhere. And that may just be perception. You could be doing open houses for other agents' listings in that area and still have this result, right? So it's a marathon approach, right? It's not necessarily going to make you the expert within 2 weeks, but doing this over and over and over and over again is really going to generate a lot of activity, a lot of awareness about who you are and what you do. And it is guaranteed going to result in leads and closings. So now let's transition. We've done all the setup, right? We've chosen the place. We have marketed prior to, and now we're going to talk about setting up the event, right? And how we conduct our open house in order to generate leads and turn those into clients. So I do my open house signs as early as I possibly can. I prefer about 5 or 6 a.m. If I'm doing them at 5 or 6 a.m., a couple of things. One, it's safer. There's a lot less cars on the road. I can do them much quicker. And I've got a lot of time in between when I set up the house or set up the signs and when I actually have to be at the house. So I go home, shower, get dressed, prepare for the open house, have breakfast, spend time with the family, whatever I need to do before I go out there. I'm getting everything done, all my signage done prior to when everybody is working out. So I do come back to the house about 30 minutes to an hour, before the open house is supposed to start. No later than 30 minutes. And that's so I can make sure the house is prepared, right? Make sure all the toilets are flushed, make sure that if anything needs swept or vacuumed, that we do that. Turn on all the lights, make sure the house is a comfortable temperature, make sure fans are on. I mean, whatever we have to do to make sure that house looks at its absolute best when people are coming in. If you don't get there early, you will not be prepared. So definitely plan to get there early, no less than 30 minutes early. So to know where I'm going to put signage, this is my process. So I print up a map that will help me decide how many signs I need. Right? And then I will use as many signs as I'm allowed to or as I can afford. So when I mean allowed to, some places have restrictions on how many signs that you can use. Some it's just one sign in the front yard. Others have different restrictions. You'll have to look up your city ordinances for that. But I like to put at least 40 signs up per open house. And that may come as a shock. It may not. But I see a lot of agents will put up 4 signs, right? And then they are competing with me and I've got 40 signs. People see my open house way more than they see theirs. So sign placement has got to be strategic, right? So it also helps you to keep track of where your signs are placed. So for instance, let's say that, in this map, you see the park in the middle. There's a road there called Barksdale Road and Heritage Trace. So if this house was up Barksdale Road, I would put probably 8 signs at that intersection. Heritage Trace is a busy intersection. I would put it there. I would put it to the far left at North Riverside. I put 4 signs over there. I would put a bunch of signs going up into the neighborhood. And then I would, look for other locations as well. But noting where you put your signs also helps you when it's time to go pick them up, right? So, hey, look, I put 4 signs here, 8 signs there, 2 signs there. I know exactly how many signs I have out. So when I go pick them up, I know exactly how many signs I need to be picking up. That's the responsible thing to do, because otherwise you'll start burning money by forgetting signs, and then you'll be driving by and, I need to pick up that sign, and you never will. The city will grab it and you will lose it. So be strategic, print up a map, be purposeful where you put your signs, know how many signs you are putting and where you're putting them. So this is a sign that I put up on the front door. So because I put up the sign so early in the morning, a lot of times people will come to the open house before it's actually open. So I put this sign up on the door. It says, and I tell the sellers this too, so they're not like worried when people come to the door. It says, thanks for stopping by. Sorry we missed you. The open house is being held from 1 to 4 or whatever time you're holding it today. We will be opening up early at 12:30. Please come back and visit us. If you have any questions or would like to schedule a time to see this or any other home, feel free to call or text me directly. Then I put my cell phone number. So that works. I mean, quite often people will show up early and then they'll call me or they'll text me or they will come back within the time that we put on here. Otherwise, they're just going to come to the door and be like, hey, it's not open yet. Okay, we'll go. Maybe we'll come by later, but they have no idea what time to come by, right? So doing this is really preemptive. Put your cell phone number on there. If they call you, now you've got a lead, right? Now you've got their at least their phone number, probably their name. However you handle that call, we'll determine if that really becomes a viable lead for you or not. But definitely put this up there. It educates them. It helps your sellers from people knocking on the door and being annoying. So, sorry guys, my phone is blowing up here. I should have turned it off. So the event, right? So during your open house, if you can have somebody there with you, it works for a few reasons. One, safety, right? It's always top of mind. If you're not alone, that's good, right? Especially if it's a vacant home. But also if you could have somebody else there to help you, if you get a big crowd, you've got another person to engage with people while you're there. I like to have my lender partners there with me for those reasons. And also if there's cost involved, I ask them to share the cost. So if it's, $200 for whatever we're doing to run this open house, then I'm going to split it with that lender, right? So it cuts my expenses in half. You want to prep the house first. We kind of went over that a little bit. Show up early, make sure everything's swept, everything looks good, proper signage, right? So the open house signs and flags. In the front yard, I put about 8 signs in the front yard. We have flags, we have banners. We make a pretty good spectacle. And we get some unique comments, right? Some people hate it, some people love it, but nobody can miss it, right? And that's what we care about. We just don't want anybody to miss it. We want the neighbors to see what we're doing, who we are, recognize our brand, recognize our signage. So, and also do a quick selfie video in front of the home. I love doing this. People love it when we're on Facebook and we're doing that. And there's an art to this, right? You see a lot of people start off with, hey, how are you guys? I'm so-and-so. Like, that's probably not the best way. I've been taught to do it a little bit differently, something that captures people's attention. It could be anything, right? It may be something specific with that home and maybe about the weather, whatever it is. Do something different, switch it up, say something that captures the attention of the people who are going to be watching. They'll stay longer. And then just post those. Don't worry about being perfect with those. I think that's most of our hang up, is we want that video to be perfect. Oh, I messed up. And something I do all the time is I'll say the wrong number of bedrooms or the wrong square footage. And my sellers will message me, because I'm friends with all of them on Facebook. They'll message me and they'll be like, hey, we actually have 4 bedrooms, not 3. I'm like, oh, it's okay, right? That doesn't really matter so much. What matters is that people are seeing this, right? We want people to get out there, come out to the open house, or at the very least, see you, right? We want them to see you as the real estate expert, especially people that you're friends with on your Facebook page or any of your social media platforms. They need to continue to see you doing things in real estate, being active. That is what's going to help them associate you with being the expert. So here is something that I think is very important. Sign-ins are critical at open houses. We've got about a 90% sign-in rate, which I think is pretty good. And this is really one of the big reasons why. So we're setting expectations that all visitors are going to sign in from the moment they get to the door. So we take off the sign that says, hey, come back. Sorry we missed you. It's going to start at 1 o'clock. We'll take that down, and then we'll put this on the front door in its place. So it says, welcome, please come in. For security purposes, the seller requests that all guests sign in. So that's one, right? The door's open. They don't have to knock. They don't have to ring a doorbell. It says come in, right? So they come in. They walk up our red carpet. They see the sign on the door. They open the sign. They come in, and then this is what they see. This is actually from one of our open houses. And this is our setup that we try to have within 5 feet of the door, right? So it almost creates a funnel to where people have to walk past it. And then we have that sign again in a frame, and we have different tablecloth covers now. But this is just the general setup. We still do it this way. They see the sign. It says, welcome, please come in. At the seller's request, everybody must sign in. I like to do my sign-ins on paper, but there are some flaws to that. So if I'm allowing other people to sign in, they may just write horribly, right? So I can't ever decipher what they're writing. May or may not write correct information or not, but that's what we've done. So on this table, we've got on the left, we've got packets for buyers. On the right, we've got packets for sellers. We've got business cards on there. We've got property flyer on there. We've got a packet with other listings in the neighborhood that people might want to go see. And then on the top left, we have scorecards, right? So we ask everybody to fill out a scorecard. It's another opportunity for us to capture their information if they did not put it on the sign-in sheet. And we're also using technology. So a lot of the CRMs out there, I know KV Core is a really good CRM. They've got an app that you can put on an iPad or some sort of electronic device, and people can sign in on that iPad, and then it pushes that data directly into your CRM. Whereas with this, whether they write it or you write it, you've now got to take that information and transfer it into your CRM at a later date or a later time, hopefully the same day. But use technology if you can, allow it to work for you. So this is our setup. This is one of our banners. Welcome to our open house. And this banner, I like it, but I can't tell you if it's gotten us any business or not, right? It just looks nice. Welcome to our open house. Sign in. Again, setting that expectation. Look around, ask questions, fall in love, make an offer. This house not for you. We can show all homes. Schedule a private showing today. So that's what's on our banner. And another thing too that I don't have on here, but it just came to my mind, is I like to ask people when they come in the open house how they want me to interact with them. And I'll say something like, hey guys, so welcome to the open house. What brings you out today? Oh yeah, we were just browsing around, just saw some signs, or we're in the neighborhood, or we saw it on Zillow, whatever their answer is. Okay, great. Guys, after you guys sign in, would you prefer that I give you a tour and point out all the unique things about the house? Or would you prefer to tour the home on your own, and then I can answer your questions at the end, right? I try not to be pushy, try to be very, very friendly, very personable, always smiling, very approachable. But never standoffish, right? Because that's the first thing that people expect us to be. They expect us to be high pressure salespeople, right? And we are salespeople, but we don't have to be high pressure to be great salespeople. So that's just how I handle it. When people come in the door, I prefer to write down their name and information on my own because I can read my writing, even though other people can't. So this is what our sign-in sheets look like. And never start with a blank one if you're having them fill it out, right? Nobody wants to be the first one. So write something in there. Write exactly what you want them to write. Of course, you're not going to know their information, but if you want them to fill out the first name, phone number, and email address, and you want them to check one of these boxes, then you should do that, right? Because the chances are that they're going to do the exact same thing that the previous person did. On that same note, if somebody comes into your open house and signs in and they don't correctly fill this thing out, you're probably going to want to go in there and fill in some blanks, right? So the next person doesn't say, oh, well, the last person didn't put a name or didn't put an email address or didn't put a phone number, so I'm not going to either, right? I don't know why. I'm not a psychologist. It just works that way. So recommend you don't leave anything blank on there. Excuse me. Get everything filled in as accurately as you possibly can. And then you're going to take that data and throw it into your CRM. So here's another photo of that banner on the right. And then you've got, this is not our setup on the left-hand side. This is somebody else's setup, but it's very, very similar, right? Like I said earlier, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? We copy and we steal at will. I think there's a quote out there that my mentor always talks about. It says, great or good artists create, great artists steal, right? So feel free, guys, if you see anything that I'm putting out here that you guys want to implement in your business, do it, right? You have my permission to do that for sure. So when you're engaging with people in the open house, let's say somebody wants you to give them a tour, or you just give them a tour, right? Whether they want you to or not, you're there. So you want to focus on the human connection. If you guys don't already know, this is a connection business. This is a relationship business. And here's an acronym that you should know if you don't already. It's the FORD acronym. And these are different ways that you can connect with people: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right? So as you're talking to people, keep it lighthearted, keep it about them, right? Don't go into a lot of detail about yourself, right? Be interested and not interesting. I know that as realtors, most of us love to talk, especially about ourselves, but refrain from that, guys. Allow them to do the talking, ask good questions, and they will give answers. And find ways to connect. You know, find ways to connect through family, occupation, recreation, or dreams. And so that may look something like this. Oh, okay, hey, what do you guys do for a living? You know, oh, I'm, in the military. Oh, awesome. I was in the military as well. I did this and that. What do you do? Oh, okay, yeah, cool, awesome. How do you like that? Are you planning to retire from there? Is that what brought you to this area? Okay, cool. And then move on. Like, don't try to ask really personal questions, just general questions. Be interested about them, and people will start talking about themselves. And if you can, jot down notes. All right, again, we're focused on the human connection, and that's a good opportunity for you to ask for the appointment. If you're vibing with somebody at that open house, and let's say the house that doesn't work for them, or looking for something bigger, something smaller, just something different, you can use that opportunity to go ahead and connect with them and set a buyer consultation or a listing appointment. Who knows? If they're, through the conversation, you may discover that they're going to be selling a house before they can buy, and they're just out filling the market right now. So you just set an appointment. Hey guys, you know what? I really appreciate you guys coming out. I've really enjoyed talking to you guys today. What I would like to do is just go ahead and set up an appointment to come over to your house, check it out. I'll give you guys, I'll do a walkthrough real quick, give you guys a valuation on what I think your house is going to sell for based off of the comps and what you guys will get from the sale. They're quick appointments. There's no obligation. There's no pressure. We're just going to sit, talk, and strategize with you guys so that your real estate adventure is successful and enjoyable. I've got Tuesday at 4 or Wednesday at 10. Mornings or afternoons work better for you guys. And just go into that appointment set script. Use the assumptive close. Assume that they're going to give you a yes, and don't open it up for a yes or no answer, right? That's one thing that I see a lot, and I'm guilty of it as well, is forgetting to ask open-ended questions. We start asking yes or no questions, and when people get defensive, it's always going to be no, right? Hey, can I come over to your house and check it out? No. Can I give you a CMA? No. Can I get your email address? No, right? So don't ask yes or no questions. Ask open-ended questions. They have to provide more of an answer, and always assume that the answer is going to be whatever you want it to be, right? So whether you want a yes or a no, assume and lead towards that answer. That's psychology part of this all. There's a book out there called Never Split the Difference. Highly recommend you guys read that book. Read all the books you can, right? If you're not doing self-development, whole other topic, but if you're not doing self-development, you need to be. It is absolutely 100% critical to your success. That's what changed me. When I say me, I mean me. As a person, that's what changed me from who I was into who I needed to be in order to get the success that I needed. The success that I wanted, I had to change. I had to become that person. Self-development books did that for me, helped me to get there. Still not completely there yet, work in progress, but it's really helped me along the road. So do it. If you want to learn how to connect with people, talk with people, ask great questions, Never Split the Difference is a great resource. It's by a guy named Chris Voss. So once you've done your open house, you get your leads. Now we have to focus on your follow-up process. So first contact that you had was the meeting at the event, right? So that's your first contact. You've done an activity, you've talked to a person, and now in order for them to be a lead, they've got to be in your database. So get their contact information, whether it's through the app or handwritten, and add that to your CRM, right? Once you do that, now you have a lead. Immediately, before you leave that property, record a video. Take your phone out, record a video, text it to everybody who went there. You can do them personalized, you could do it general and send it to everybody, however you want, but just do it, right? Do it from a place in the house that they're going to recognize. So if the house had a killer kitchen, if it had a pool in the backyard, be in that area with that in your background and just shoot a quick video. Hey guys, it's Jeremy. Thank you so much for coming out to our open house today. We really appreciate you. Have any question on the home or any other houses that you want to go check out, this is my direct line. You can call or text me at any time on this number. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be talking to you soon. Goodbye. Just send them a quick video, right? Now they're starting to see you. It's that repetitive awareness of you, right? So now you've got their number, they've got your number, you've reached out to them, you set expectations through your video that you're going to talk to them soon. You've offered up to solve a problem, right? If they have questions or concerns or want to go see anything, that could be their problem. You've answered a solution, you've offered a solution to that, and you have followed up. Most agents stop there, right? Most agents do not follow up. They wait for those buyers or sellers to call or text or email them, and they don't follow up. So now you're already going way beyond where most people stop. You're going to also follow that up with a thank you email. And you can use BombBomb for video, or you could just write it out, but you need to send that email. You know, and that maybe is something, make it however you want, but it's got to be, hey, thank you so much for coming out to our open house. It was great seeing you there. We had a big, successful open house. You were part of that success. We really appreciate it. And then maybe you're giving something in that email. Hey, here's a link to a free CMA for your current home. And that takes them to your website. Or as a buyer, here's a link to one of my YouTube videos that talks about, the 5 must-dos to buying a home, right? Any content that you create, you can use it in these situations where you're just giving. That's the best thing you can do, is to always lead with value, whether it's a buyer or seller, whatever. You want to continue to lead with value, give them something, and then set them up on a property search. I got not too long ago, I had a cash buyer come into one of my open houses and didn't like the house, but I talked to him and his wife, had a good conversation, got their contact information, followed all these steps. And then I set them up on a property search based off of what they were looking for. Probably a month later, he called me up and says, hey, Jeremy, we're actually ready to go ahead and start buying, really be serious about buying the house. We want to work with you. You're the only agent that actually listened to us and sent us homes that actually fit our needs of what we're looking for. One of their criteria was they had to have a 3-car garage. That was a non-negotiable. So when I created the search on the MLS, it was 3-car garage, was one of the items that it must have. So they were seeing those homes. We ended up buying them a home, and they spent almost like $400,000 cash on a house here in Texas. So that's an important step. For our MLS, you can see when people log into the portal, and that also gives you another reason to follow up. So if you send an email to them through your MLS and they don't access it, well, why wouldn't you call? Right? Or text or send a video. Hey, just shooting you a quick text or giving you a quick call. I got you set up on an MLS search. Hadn't seen that you activated it yet. I just wanted to make sure that you got the email. Give me a call. Let me make sure I have the right email for you. Or it's a text saying the same thing, but hey, I set you up on a search. I think I may have missed a letter in your email address. What is your correct email address? And now they send you their email address, and you can compare it to what you have. If you got it wrong, they send you the right one. If you got it right, then you get the right one, and now you're having a conversation. So also, you want to put them on drip emails, especially if they're not responsive to you, right? You want to put them in your CRM on a system that's going to continue to email them periodically with helpful information. It should always be educational, lighthearted, quick. A lot of CRMs have them already in their system. Some don't. You might have to create or tweak or totally create your own drip campaign. And a lot of them out here have not only emails, but tasks that will tell you, hey, it's Tuesday, you need to call such and such or text such and such, or they'll just send out emails on your behalf, right? So put them on some sort of follow-up system. We call them drip campaigns. So put them on something like that. Within 24 hours of them being at your open house, give them a call, right? Hey guys, just want to follow up with you again, see if you had any questions. We want to let you know that we're appreciative of you guys coming out, and then take it from there. I mean, see how the conversation goes. With practice, you'll be able to lead those conversations to where you want. Maybe it's, hey, are you guys looking? You know, what's the process like for you guys, or what's the time frame? Do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell? Any feedback that I can give the sellers on the house? Yeah, this, and that. Oh, okay. Well, I know of another home close by there that has those things that you didn't like about that house, or doesn't have them. I could take you to go see that. You know, when are you available? Simple as that, guys. It's just engaging, right? Engaging, being helpful, solving problems. So proceed with your lead follow-up campaign inside your CRM. So whatever your CRM tells you to do, then do that. And that goes back to those alerts, texts, stuff like that. So the fortune is always, always, always in the follow-up. We had a discussion not too long ago about how many times it takes to really convert a lead. I think it's 15 reach outs, an average of 15 reach outs, meaning you contacting them 15 times and them saying nothing to you. It takes about 15 of those until you can really convert that. I just converted a lead in my database that's been in there for 9 months. You know, we just kept following up with this person and we converted. So don't give up too early. I think that's something that is very common. You know, we try 2 or 3 times and we start getting offended. Like, hey, why are they don't like me? You know, but the reality is it's not about us. They don't know us. They're objecting to the process, not objecting to us. So make sure that regardless of how you feel, that you continue to do the follow-up, do the work. You know, I always quote Joshua Smith, but something he always says is, hey, attach to the process and detach from the outcome, right? So just know, I'm calling, I'm texting, I'm following the plan, and you continue to follow the plan, and eventually that plan will bear fruit. So guys, for us, we're looking for business partners. One thing we like to do is grow our business. We like to partner with people that are like-minded, super motivated, willing to learn, willing to teach, and just want to do big things in their business. I love this, this proverb here. It's one of my favorites. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This is something that I've realized in my business when I got involved with Joshua Smith's coaching program and started masterminding with other agents inside of that program. Now there's agents I've known my whole career, right? 4 years in the business. Some of them are my best friends now. And there's so much value in that. I could not be where I am today in my business and in my life without these people. One thing led to another. One connection led to another. There's a guy in there that does professional video that teaches us how to do that. I learned how to do Facebook ads through there. I've got a life coach through there. I mean, just all kinds of amazing things happen from there. So don't be afraid to branch out. You don't have to do this alone. You can partner with people that are amazing, that will actually help you and be invested in your success. And we're looking to partner with people for that reason. So Jim Rohn, if you guys don't know who he is, go look him up. Very inspirational. It says that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so choose wisely, right? So make sure that whoever you're choosing to partner up with in your business, that they're going to be people that are conducive to your success. This business, with 9 out of 10 failing, there's a lot of negativity here, right? There's a lot of people, even on social media, that will shoot your dreams down, tell you you can't do it. When I started in the business, had his full-time job, the number 1 agent in the office at the time was sitting behind me at a baseball game. And I asked him, I said, hey man, what's your strategy? What are you doing? He didn't really want to share much. And I said, well, my goal, this year is to close 60 transactions. And the guy looked at me like I had just said I was, running to the moon or something. He was like, what? Like, that's impossible, is what he told me. No, that's impossible, man. Not most agents do that. It's going to be impossible to do. Well, that lit a fire. He was right. That year it was impossible, but I still closed 41 transactions because I was focused on that goal of 60. I wasn't going to let him and his negativity keep me from doing what I was going after. So be very careful. of who you surround yourself with. If they're negative, get away from them. Please get away from them, because that will be very, very toxic for your business. If you want to soar, Warren Buffett, guys, you all know Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world and a great investor, very smart man. He says, if you want to soar like an eagle in life, you can't be flocking with the turkeys, right? So this for me was a key thing to know. So when I went to Remax, they were doing training in office, and the training was done by agents that were licensed but weren't practicing real estate. So what that meant to me was that these agents had tried to be realtors and they were not successful. So they went and they got a job where they got paid hourly. Nothing wrong with that. I just didn't want to be trained by somebody who did not make it, right? I wanted to be trained by the best of the best. So I sought after the best of the best, and I found that. And then in that group were other people that were absolutely amazing. So our group are Eagles. I mean, we're all top producers, top brokers, people that are doing amazing things, not just in business, but in life in general, giving back, being positive, encouraging, uplifting, and just being great, right? And it feels really good to be surrounded by people like that after a life of being surrounded by turkeys. So guys, that's it. Thank you guys for attending. If you guys want more info, I do weekly mentor sessions on Thursdays. Shoot me an email, info@smithteamdfw.com. We'll get you hooked up with that. We're also starting role playing. So if you have any interest in doing role playing, we do that on Wednesdays. If you're looking for a brokerage, guys, that's going to support you in growing your business and provide you with multiple revenue streams, you've got to text me. I've been with EXP now for 3 years. It is by far the most impressive brokerage when it comes to training, when it comes to support, immediate support, when it comes to technology, and when it comes to building wealth. There's nothing out there in the world like it. It's a great brokerage. Also, guys, I appreciate feedback. If you have any feedback for me on today's class, good or bad, I promise I can take it and I will make adjustments. So email me at info@smithteamdfw.com if you have any feedback, any suggestions, or any topics that you would like me to do in the future. And with that, we will go ahead and open this bad boy up for questions and answers. And if y'all want, go ahead and unmute yourselves if you're muted, and we could talk or we could type. There are some questions here in the Q&A. So let me get that. Hey, you're welcome, Karen and Chandler. TJ, door knocking for the open house is a great idea, but how is that going now with COVID? Any issues with people not answering? Yeah, dude, there's always going to be issues with people not answering. I think it just really depends on how that person, there's no way to know. There's no way to really know how people are going to interact with you. We've had really warm receptions. So what I like to do is wear a mask, of course. I don't really like masks personally, but I never know whose door I'm going up to and what their perception is of masks. I'd rather wear it than not. So wear the mask, do the door knock, step back. If they've got a Ring doorbell, ring it, right? Don't avoid the camera. People try that all the time. You may just have to talk to them through the camera, which is totally fine. You can still accomplish your goal that way. But I would just knock on the door, step, 5 feet back, be hands off, and just have a good conversation. So I wouldn't scare away from doing it, at all. Even with COVID, there's people doing it all the time. How many signs have you lost due to someone taking them? A lot. I lost $400 worth of signs in one day due to the city of Fort Worth. We had 2 open houses in 2 different locations, and the city of Fort Worth came and grabbed all of my signs. So yeah, it's part of it, man. It's going to happen. You're going to lose signage. Not the funnest thing ever, but it definitely happens. What time frame have you found to be the most productive times to have an open house? It's a great question, dude, but I think it's really subjective. So depends on the time of year. Like, there are times in the summer when Friday afternoon open houses really kill it. But if you're going to do a Friday afternoon or evening open house in the winter, it's dark, right? So you don't want to really do open house in the dark. I think some of the most common times would be 1 to 3 on Saturday. I like to do 3-hour-long open houses. I know a lot of agents do 2 hours. I like to do 3. So I would say probably 1 to 4 on Saturdays, unless there's like a lot of sporting events going on during the summer. I try to stay away from Sundays during football season, but you just got to kind of feel it out. But I would say probably 12 to 3 or 1 to 4 are actually my favorite times during the weekend. Karen says she had a great door knocking experience. They seem to want to see and talk to you. Yeah, absolutely. And then they appreciate you too. You know, if you're going out there and you're working, you're hustling, people see when you're hungry. I can't even count how many times people have said, hey, we want to work with you because we know you're hungry. You know, we know you're going to come out here, you're going to do an amazing job for us, and you're going to represent us well because we see the hunger in your eyes. We see you all over the place. We know you're about it. You know, we don't want a lazy agent. And if you're going out there door knocking, I think that definitely sets you apart. There's going to be a lot of people who don't do it. Let's see. I'm going to type the email address again here, Holly. info@smithteamdfw.com. Molly says she volunteered to do an open house on a brand new listing today for tomorrow 1 to 3. How would you implement a quick version of this plan in the next 24 hours? Oh, that's a good one. Start putting it on social media immediately, and maybe do it today, do it tomorrow morning, because you're going to be doing it from 1 to 3 tomorrow. If you can, get out there today and door knock really quickly. You know, throw up a quick flyer, even if it's something that you use off of the MLS, print it up, go out there, do some door knocking, and just remember that the whole point of that is just getting as much exposure as you can. So you try to figure out a way to get in front of as many people as you possibly can in doing that. So yeah, at least 2 social media posts, 1 today, 1 tomorrow morning. If there's Facebook group posts in your community, like buy sell trade pages or anything like that, go in there and post in there as well. People love video. So if you can get in front of the house and do a quick video, and I don't know if you know this, how to do this yet, or if you would have time to learn it, but put captions, because most videos listen to with the volume off. Put captions there, or put something catchy in the text, right? So that when they see the post, your video is there, and then there's information up there. But just get it in front of as many people as you possibly can, and just really utilize social media and door knocking if you have time. So hope that makes sense, Holly. I put the email in the comments, but let me type it here. info@smithteamdfw.com. Okay. Sweet. Let me know how it goes, Holly. I'm excited for you. Make sure you have sign-in sheets or a way to collect people's information. That is probably the number one thing. People will show up. Make sure you have your signage out there. Make sure it's on the MLS. It's out there on Zillow and all that stuff. And have a way for people to sign in and collect their information. Don't hide back in the kitchen. I think I went to an open house a couple weeks ago just to drop in, and the agent was hiding in the back in the kitchen, and she had a couple of business cards. It was totally not engaging with anybody who came by. So don't do that. All right, guys, it looks like we don't have any more questions. No more comments. Guys, again, thank you guys so much for coming out and checking out the webinar. Hope it was helpful for you guys. Hope it helps you go out there and create some business. Let us know if there's anything else we can do to help you. And that's it. You're welcome. Y'all have a great day. Take care.